So, building a cool AI feature, that's one thing. But making it actually work, reliably, out in the real world, that is a completely different ballgame. Today, we're going to break down 5 crucial, hard-earned lessons from Encore Goyal of Brain Trust about how to build AI that doesn't just look good in a demo, but actually delivers. You've probably been here before, right? You push a new AI feature live. The initial metrics, they look fine, but you've still got that nagging feeling in the back of your head. How do you get past just hoping it's working and actually know for sure whether it's a win or a fail for your users? That's the big question we're tackling. And the answer is something called evals. But hey, don't let your eyes glaze over. This is not about some boring, after-the-fact testing checklist. A good evolve system is your strategic playbook. It's the engine that lets you measure, test, and constantly get better, turning that gut feeling into a clear path forward. Okay, so what does a great eval system even look like in practice? Before you go off and build one, you gotta know what you're aiming for. And that brings us to lesson 1. You need to define your barometer of success. A really healthy eval system gives off 3 pretty clear signals. First, speed. When a hot new model like GPT-4o or Claude 3.5 Sonnet drops, you should be able to plug it in and ship it in 24 hours. Seriously, Notion does this all the time. Second, you've got to be responsive. A user complains about a specific failure, bam, you have a system to turn that feedback directly into a new test case. And third, and this is key, it's about your mindset. Your evals shouldn't just be about catching bugs. That's just playing defense. They should be helping you discover what amazing new things are now possible. That is playing offense. And that idea of playing offense leads us right into lesson 2. A system this powerful doesn't just magically appear. You can't just download it from somewhere. Evals have to be engineered with the exact same discipline and seriousness you'd apply to any other core part of your product. Look, when it comes to data and scoring, you have 2 choices, the easy path and the right path. The easy way is to just grab some off-the-shelf dataset and use a generic LLM as a judge to score your results. The problem? That data has nothing to do with your users, and that generic scorer is a spec for someone else's product. The engineered path, the right path, means your dataset is a living, breathing thing, constantly updated with real user feedback. And you build custom scoring functions that define what good actually means for you. Here's a really powerful way to think about it. Your scorer is the spec. It's the product requirements document for your AI. It literally defines what you want the AI to do. Now think about it. Would you ever build your product based on a competitor's spec sheet? Of course not. So why would you do it for your AI? Okay, so you're engineering your evals. Great. The next question is, where should you focus your energy? And lesson 3 is a big one that might surprise you. Context is king. And context is way, way more than just the system prompt. Just check this out. It's kind of wild when you see the actual breakdown of an AI agent's token budget. We spend all this time obsessing over the system prompt, but look, it's this tiny sliver, maybe 5% of the total tokens. The vast majority, a whopping 85%, is taken up by tool definitions and the data that those tools return. That's where the real action is. And the changes you can make here might seem almost boring, but they have a huge impact. In one case, a team saw a massive performance boost just by switching a tool's output format from JSON to YAML. Now, to a computer, they're pretty similar, but to a language model that reads text, YAML is just so much cleaner and more token efficient. Small change, big win. Let's be real, the pace of AI right now is insane. It feels like there's a new, more powerful model every other week. Lesson 4 is all about how you can take this model whiplash and turn it from a huge source of stress into your greatest competitive advantage. Let me tell you a quick story about how this works. A team had this amazing idea for a really ambitious new feature. The problem was, with the models available at the time, it was flat out impossible. The performance was terrible. But instead of just giving up, they did something brilliant. They built the eval for it anyway. They created a test for the future they wanted to build. So they had this test just sitting there, and every time a new model came out, they'd run it. At first, the scores were awful, like 10%, nowhere near viable. Then a new model came out, and it crept up to 37%, getting better. And then one day, a breakthrough model dropped, and it didn't just pass the test, it blew right past their viability threshold. The impossible had suddenly become possible. And here's the best part. Because they were ready, because that eval was already built and waiting, they were able to take this feature from that new model's release day to shipping it to actual users in just 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's the power of playing offense. all of these lessons, they all build up to our fifth and final takeaway, which is probably the most important one of all. To get those breakthrough results, you can't just tinker with one little piece. You have to optimize the entire system. And the numbers really tell the whole story here. When that team focused only on tweaking the prompt, they got completely stuck at a 10% score. It was a dead end. But when they zoomed out and took a holistic approach, improving the test data, refining the task, engineering those custom scores, the performance shot up to 60%. It went from a total non-starter to a feature they could ship with confidence. So let's wrap this up. Here's your 5-point playbook. Number 1, know what success looks like. Define it. Number 2, engineer your data and scores like they're critical parts of your product, because they are. 3, focus on the whole context, especially your tools, not just the tiny system prompt. 4, be ready for tomorrow's models by building ambitious evals today. And 5, always optimize the whole system, not just one little piece. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. I want you to look at your own process for building AI. Are your evals just there to catch bugs and put out fires? Is that all they do? Or are they a strategic weapon helping you play offense and discover what's suddenly possible? The answer to that question might just define how fast you can innovate.